Yep, we'll keep it moving. Dan, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Mike?
Not too bad. Getting older, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's the alternative.
Yeah, I had a birthday last month. Well, it's probably turned into, it's assembled in Omaha. There's a number of them around our dealers down in West well, before the F-20 and
Heads up, the food service line is beginning right now, and we're going to start right over here by the gentleman with the camera and work your way around the corner. So if you're ready to eat, they're ready to serve. All right, good evening, everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started here momentarily. So if everybody could grab a seat, we'll get the show on the road.
All right. Proverbs 15:23 says, "Everyone enjoys a fitting reply. It is wonderful to say the right thing at the right time," which right now is very hard. And you need to prepare yourself because there will be people that won't like you very well and will want to debate with you. So we kind of put our heads together and we made a list of things to think about before, like someone in your family comes to see you or someone comes at you. And there is, these are called tools for debate. And there's a bunch of them back there on the table. And another thing I want to tell you is every Friday I send out a weekly devotional. And if you would like to receive that, there's a list back there that you can put your name on for that. So let's pray. Gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you that we are so truly blessed in our country. And we ask you to bless our leaders, and may we be able to speak about you clearly and truthfully, and may the truth reign in our country. And everybody said, Amen.
Thank you, Pat. Sherry would like to say a couple things.
Thank you. Let me get to my page. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Sherry Thurston, and I want to thank you for all coming tonight. You saw me at the door, and it's a different view from here. I would like to take a little time to remember Charlie Kirk and devote a moment of silence in his memory. And with Charlie's spirit, I pretty much am sure that he would include all the others that have died for our country. But first, I would like to provide a couple of quotes regarding Charlie. Just over a month ago, our Vice President, J.D. Vance, spoke these words of Charlie Kirk in Arizona at his memorial. Quote, "America was his home, and he was willing to die for it. You know, Charlie, he loved his country with a contagious intensity. Everyone that talked to him knew it and felt it. He knew that America was a beautiful place, but he knew that it was generational, the past, the present, the future. He believed this country's best days were not behind us, but he knew those better days would have to be earned. They would have to be worked for. We would have to sacrifice and work and tell the truth." Unquote. At the same time, a couple words from Charlie. Quote, "Never underestimate the power of your voice and the impact you can have on the world when you speak what you believe in." Unquote. Charlie Kirk made the ultimate sacrifice to bring communication, debate, the light of truth to not only the young, but all of us. I hope you will join me in a moment of silence to honor Charlie and others for his courage, the love of country and family, and the work of our Lord. Please join me. In closing, friends and countrymen, this is our turning point. Thank you, and I'll turn it over to Mike to go forward.
All right, thanks, Sherry. Would like to welcome everybody, and we have a great crowd, and we have a great list of speakers that are ahead of us. My name is Mike Duncombe, for those of you that don't know me. I've lived in Jones County. We lived here 23 years now, so pardon me. And forgot the pledge as well, so we'll do that here shortly. But again, welcome and thank you for coming. Please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Just a couple quick housekeeping deals. If you don't know, the restrooms are in the hallway through the double doors. And I'm pretty sure there's plenty of dessert back there. If anybody would like a piece of dessert, feel free to get up and grab one as well. And we have a good evening planned, and we're going to keep the program moving. And we got a lot to go through, so it's going to take a little bit of time, and hopefully you can bear with us and enjoy the evening. A couple other quick things. Please turn your phones on silent. There are a number of pieces of literature on your tables, including a couple copies of the Constitution, and that's all for your taking. There is a few more copies of the Constitution up here for any of those that would like one. All right, I think that takes care of the housekeeping deals. We have a number of petitions around the room, around this corner, that the candidates would love to have you sign. They also have some in the back room there you can sign, and after our meeting, I'm sure some of them will be around that you can continue to sign the petitions there. And I know they've been wandering and working the crowd pretty hard, so if you haven't signed a petition yet, please do so. And also want to thank some guests from some other counties from coming. I know there's at least a couple people from different counties, so if you're on a central committee not from Jones County, could you please stand? And we certainly appreciate you coming. Let's give those folks a hand for coming to Jones County. Thank you. All right. I told somebody earlier I was trying to remember what I forgot, so I'm still working on it. But, all right, the next thing I have on my list is Julie from Jones County Republican Women.
Thank you, Mike. Evening, everybody. Excuse me, goodness. What a beautiful day we had in Jones County, and we've got a really great, beautiful group of people here this evening. Thank you so very much. So, Republican Women, Iowa Federation of Republican Women, has been going strong in Iowa since about '39. And here in Jones County, we're going on our 4th year. Our main mission is to support our GOP. We do not feel that we're in competition with our GOP. We feel that we are here to complement our GOP, so we really try to do our best to help in any way, shape, or form that we can. We do a lot of things in the community. We really are grassroots. We are a smaller group. A lot of groups have speakers, and not that we don't have speakers, but we're more grassroots out there making some differences in our county. So one thing that we did this year is we do have 3 bills we're introducing into legislation, and hopefully it'll go through. So one of them is we are looking to have the Iowa Constitution taught to our Iowa students. We feel that that's super important. We're looking to have it introduced in 5th grade, and then we'd like to have it taught along civics in high school. So that's one of the bills we're looking to introduce. Thank you. The other bill that we think is super important is to have the 10 Commandments displayed in our Iowa schools. Very important. The third bill we're looking to introduce is the 10 Commandments displayed in all of our public spaces. We feel that that is very pertinent. Thank you. I am really super proud of all the gals in Jones County, Republican women. We, like I said, we're one of the smaller groups, but we actually did earn the Diamond Award through National Federation of Republican Women for all of our hard work, and that is a huge accomplishment. We're very proud of that. I did bring everybody up to give a congratulations to all the gals and to get our pictures taken together in front of the Central Committee. So we're very proud of that. And we have a lot of different projects that we're working on for Jones County. And one of them that we're always working on is patriotism, faith, family, and freedom. We had another excellent opportunity to showcase that, and that is with our member, Mariannette Ann Pierce. Our group nominated her for an award. It's a new award through National Federation of Republican Women, and it's called the American Patriotism Award. Mariannette was awarded this for 2025. We're very proud of her for Iowa. We are doing a lot of things here in Jones County. I'm going to just do a little plug here. Oh, yes, please, I'm sorry, yes. Yes, please apply. Marita's going to speak here. I'm going to let her speak here in a minute. But I did want to get a plug in. We are doing some fundraising stuff. We make some fun buttons and fun magnets. So if you have an opportunity to stop back and check out what we have, and t-shirts. We're going to order some t-shirts. So just come check out our tables. Yes, we really appreciate you all. I am going to hand the mic over to Marita. And once again, I'd like to give a big round of applause for her accomplishment and her recognition as Patriot, the National Federation Iowa Patriot Award for 2025.
Thank you. I wanted to speak about the word patriot. Patriot is a love of one's country. However, throughout the course of history and through the conflict of war, it's taken on a bit of a tainted notion of what it really is and been used for many other descriptions. So I thought we need to come to the bottom of this. Patriot is actually a derivative of the Greek word Petros, which is of one's father. My immediate thought is our Father, the Almighty God, the Creator, the Heavenly Father. Well, one morning I got up and God said, "There's another." And I was like, really? That's the father of lies. So when you think of Petros, of one's father, we are currently in a patriotic conflict because there are two. One is the creator and one is the created. And our country was in and still is and forever will be in a covenant with the Creator. So we need to realize that we have to be careful about how we understand the words, and that's why it is so important that we get to talk to the kids and start speaking real truth, because Jesus Christ came here to walk on earth, to have a relationship with us. He campaigned, you might say. And we have the blessing of knowing the one and only true teacher's words on how to talk to our Father. And that is something we all need to recite every day. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen, and amen.
Thank you, ladies. Careful, that sticks out. All right, just to finish up a couple housekeeping things, and we'll get to why you all came today. Just a few thank yous. Want to thank Maryland Catering and the cooking crew with all the desserts. If we could give them a big round of applause. Thank you. I want to thank the executive committee and the fundraiser committee for helping put this together and helping do a lot of the planning. It's a lot of work to get all the I's dotted and the T's crossed and to get everything put together and hopefully have a very successful event. And I very much want to thank the sponsors. Without sponsors, we wouldn't make near as much money in this event to support our candidates. And there is a list of all the sponsors on everybody's table. So I would ask that you take a look at that before you leave this evening. So let's give our sponsors a big round of applause. The Jones County Republican Women.to do a lot of work for the GOP and the Central Committee, and that's also very much appreciated. And then finally, I want to thank Paul Kurt. Paul's hiding back there. He's the guy that puts this stuff together and makes it all work, because I certainly could not. So thank you, Paul. And if I missed anybody, I apologize, but thank you for this whole group in the Jones County Central Committee. We have a strong group. We do meet the first Thursday of every month at the Hale Tap in Hale, Iowa, and you're all welcome to attend. All right, let's get to the meeting. So we have a number of speakers, and I'm going to try to really not go in any particular order, other than there's a couple that live quite a ways away, so we might want to give them a chance to get started first. But this is what the format's going to be. We're going to have 5 to 8 minutes for each speaker to get your undivided attention and explain a little bit about themselves and why they're running and why that should be good for us. So we'll let them do that. And then after the meeting, we have a bunch of tables in the back, and I know some of them are planning on sticking around as well, so you can ask questions of that group once the speakers are all done. If we ask questions during the speeches, we probably will be here really late. So I would ask that you keep your questions or write them down so you can ask them after all the speakers are finished. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start and I'm not going to give a bio on everybody, so they're going to have to introduce themselves a little bit as well. So I'm going to let them use their time instead of mine. So I'll start with Randy Feenstra, and we'll get this program going. Please welcome Randy.
Thanks, Mike. Whoa, thank you, Mike. Hey, it's great to be in Jones County tonight. It's just incredible driving up here from Northwest Iowa and seeing all the harvest that's happening, just phenomenal. And I just want to give a shout out to a few people. You got some great legislators that serve at the Capitol, at the state Capitol for you. Chris Cournoyer and I were state senators together. Carrie Kelker, sorry, your twin. My fault, Carrie Kelker. But we wrote the largest tax reduction in state history. And Carrie, thanks for doing that. That was incredible. Absolutely. And then we have Doc here, Doc Bradley, works in the Iowa House, do a fabulous job. Again, it's all about conservatism, and Carrie and Steve, you guys do a great job of carrying that out. So thank you so much. So I just want to say, think about where you were a year ago today, right? A year ago today, we were a week and a half from the election. All right, we were worried, right? You had Kamala Harris. All right, can Trump beat Kamala Harris? Can we keep the U.S. House? Man, if we get really lucky, can we capture the U.S. Senate? And then what happened, right? The day after the election, we wake up, we got the House, Trump's our president, and we also took the Senate. And what did that tell us? Absolutely, let's go. What did it tell us? That people in America finally woke up and said, we are sick of this liberal progressive movement. We are sick of the Green New Deal. We want something different. And boy, did we get something different. I mean, you think about what has happened in the last 10 months. It's just incredible, right? We shut down the border. There's not a single illegal coming through right now. There's not. There is not any drugs coming through the border right now. How I prove that? Trump says this all the time. He goes, there is no drugs coming through. You know why? Because they got to go on boats now. And now we're blowing boats out of the water because they can't get through our border, right? It's incredible. We're not buying oil from Venezuela or China or Russia anymore. Absolutely. And my good friend, Dr. Miller Meeks, Congressman Dr. Miller Meeks, we served in Washington together. Anyway, we were on Air Force One together. And Trump got to us and goes, hey, I know you guys are both fiscally responsible, right? You're fiscal hawks. I want to tell you something. He said, do you know in June of this year was the first month in 16 years that we took more money in than what we spent. Think about that. We took more money in than what we spent. That's how you get to a balanced budget. That's how you start reducing your deficit. And you know what? 40 billion of that came from tariffs. That's how you hold countries accountable that have been abusing us for decades when it comes to trade. And then you know what happened? We did this great thing that was signed on July 4. We wrote the big, beautiful bill, and it got passed. It was incredible. I was one of the writers of the bill. Every day I'd go to the Library of Congress and write this bill. And every day I'd get a little sheet, we'd get a little sheet from Trump and go, hey, this is what we need to add. This is what we got to do. My thought was, what can we do for Iowa? What are the things that we can do for Iowa? And for me, it pivoted around agriculture and manufacturing and families. For families, we helped out adoption dollars. We made sure that the child tax credit was doubled. We made sure the standard deduction was doubled. For farmers, we made sure that, since we couldn't pass a farm bill, we put a lot of this stuff in the reconciliation bill of crop insurance, of reference pricing, of depreciation dollars. But we also said, how can we grow manufacturing? How can we grow agriculture? And we did immediate expensing, meaning we put more dollars in manufacturers' pockets and agricultural community pockets to grow and expand our little diamonds that we have in every small town, these little manufacturers. But what we also did was we incentivized, again, America first, we incentivized companies to onshore manufacturing, to bring it back here. And there's great incentives. Now there's all these businesses going, hey, we got to come back to the U.S. We got to come back. You've incentivized us to come back. And I'm passionate about saying they've got to come to Iowa. We have the skills, we have the people, we have the quality of life. They've got to come right here. And that's what I'm selling. I love this state. I love it. I love it. I'm a fourth generation Iowa, and I want to take this state to new heights. And I'll come out with an announcement very shortly. Growing up in a little small town, going to church every Sunday, still go to that same church every Sunday today, was throwing papers when I was 9 years old, worked at a local bakery. I met my wonderful wife, Pizza Ranch romance. We were working at the Pizza Ranch, and we married. 33 years now, we have 4 wonderful kids. The same 4 kids that went to the same school I did. All right. And then I was a city administrator of this community, and I was also worked at the gym in town, the candy company. The candy company, Children's Novelty Candy, maker of Sour Maker Warheads and Black Forest Gummy Bears. But I had the American dream, and I want every child in Iowa to have that dream like I had. And to do that, we have to have a vision, and this is the vision. 4 quick points. Number 1, we have to be the most business and ag-friendly state in the country. We got to reduce and get rid of the Biden administration regulations. We got to reduce property taxes and freeze them. We got to be the best when it comes to business and ag. Number 2, we got to have world-class health care. We'll say world-class education first, then we'll get into health care. World-class education. Where does world-class education start? It starts from pre-K all the way to our community colleges, all the way to our universities. That means we teach ABCs and not DEI. Absolutely. And we make sure that boys cannot play in girls' sports. Number 3, we got to keep our kids here. All right, we got all these kids coming out of high school, and we see so many leaving to other states. That's not right. We got to make sure when they graduate high school that they have a skill and a job waiting for them. We have to have quality of life in our communities that they want to stay, to give them that dream. Finally, we need quality, accessible, affordable health care. And we're fighting about this in D.C. right now, and that's why government shut down. And we're going to keep it shut down because we're not going to capitulate to Schumer's shutdown, to the Democrats. We're not. We're not going to make it happen. I was an EMT for 15 years. Volunteer EMT in our small town. And I know every minute mattered when that ambulance had to go to somebody that had a heart attack or a stroke or an accident. We can't have an Iowa where somebody's waiting 30 to 45 minutes for an ambulance to show up. We can't have women that need maternity care traveling 50 to 75 miles for care. We can't. This is Iowa. We're better than that. These are the things that we want to do to grow and expand and make our state a place where everyone wants to live. But just a quick note, there's a Democrat, Rob Sand. I want to tell you, you got to know who this guy is. This guy has said that he's an extreme liberal. He goes around saying, oh, I'm a moderate. He said it himself. He goes, I'm an extreme liberal. Take him for his word. He wants to take this state backwards, and he wants to make it like Illinois and California. He wants to allow boys and girls sports. When we passed the largest tax cut in U.S. history and in Iowa history, he said it was a mistake. Yeah, it's a mistake to him because he's a multimillionaire. He don't care. That's why I'm running, to make sure that our conservative values are carried out in this state, to make sure we take this state to new heights, and make sure there's no liberal progressivism that shows up in this state, that we never become a California or Illinois. Thank you so much for letting me be here tonight. Kerry Kelliker, great seeing you, my friend. All right, Steve, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next on the list, we have Jim Carlin. Jim, we'll give you a warm welcome.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. You guys did a very nice job putting this together, and we know what it takes to get one of these things put together. It is a lot of work. Thank you, ladies. We know you did the majority of the work. Hand for yourselves. I'm going to talk to you about something you already know. Ronald Reagan said this. He said, you can't be for big government, big taxes, and big bureaucracy, and be for the little guy. Can you? You can't. And what I want to talk to you about tonight, my name is Jim Carlin. I'm a candidate for the U.S. Senate. I am a husband of one wife, 30 years. She was actually my very first client. That sounds kind of bad, but it's really not. So I'm a father of three. I'm a grandfather of three. I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I'm a former legislator in the House and Senate. I served with Kerry, and I served with Randy, and I served with Eddie, and I served with Brad. And I can tell you guys that we are well represented. And I've also been a lawyer in Sioux City for 34 years. And I've represented a lot of different kinds of people. And you know, when you represent that many people, you get to know your clients really, really well. You get to see the realities of how things affect them. So a couple things about me, because I want you to feel like you know me a little bit better, okay? I believe in Jesus. My wife and I, our faith is what defines us. I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. And I believe, you know, kind of like Jake and Elwood, that we each have a mission from God. We each have a unique destiny. And we got to pursue it. And we need to find out what that mission is, what that purpose is, right? I believe that our rights come from God and not from government, right? And I actually believe the purpose of the government, like our founders did, is to secure those rights. That's government in the right context. And I think the people in our government have forgotten what Lincoln told us at Gettysburg. Do you remember what he said? We're to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Are we that any longer? I don't think so. And Ronald Reagan said this. He said, government isn't the solution to the problem. Government is the problem. And so I think that's a pretty simple premise everybody understands. That really our problem is the government, honestly. So let's start with that. You know, I think we have the best government money can buy. I think, don't we? I think big business and big government got married, and I think they bought a bunch of nice assets, and they handed us the bill called inflation, which I'm not too crazy about, right? But that's the reality. And like, you have to deal with that. Like, how do we get some of our power, some of our voice, some of our control back in this way? You know, it's supposed to be for us, right? And I'm going to do 3 simple examples for you guys. And, you know, I had a conversation with a couple tonight about what they were concerned about. With them, it was property taxes. And so, did you know that the price of a house, on average, has gone up 60% since 2019? Did you ever wonder why? Did you know that the Federal Reserve during COVID poured trillions into the housing market? That's where it came from. And did you know that the Federal Reserve does not answer to anybody? Not the president, not the House, not the Senate. There is no oversight. And I think that is something that has to be corrected. There's a whole history to the Fed that you guys might want to look into. Maybe, I'm sure a lot of you have. But when the property taxes explode, and when houses are out of the reach of young families because of something the government did, it has to be confronted with that. Because right now, the average first-time home buyer, 39 years of age. Do you know what it was 20 years ago? It was 30. Okay. Let's talk about something else we all know is a problem. Your health care. Did he make it affordable? Did you get to keep your doctor? Here's one of my biggest problems with it. Your doctor doesn't even get to call the shots anymore, and you're paying 200% and 300% more. Now, why is that? Because they have a monopoly on it. When they have a monopoly on it, that means they don't answer to us. And that was created by Obama. And you know, he didn't make it affordable. He monopolized it. And it didn't serve us, did it? Well, you know what else he monopolized? He monopolized student loans. Do you guys have any college-age kids? I know a lot of people are still paying their student loan debt, okay? Right now, the average kid, it's going to take them between 10 and 20 years to pay off their student loan debt. Obama actually doubled principal. It's doubled. And the interest rate has been doubled. Now, the realities of that are very, very harsh. And I'm sure we got some farmers. Is monopoly a problem for farmers? On inputs, you better believe it is. In the marketplace, with the grain, with the meat, you better believe it is. So we have these things called antitrust laws. So what can we do to answer some of these problems? You can prosecute collusion, you can deregulate markets, you can open up markets, you can remove barriers to entry. Because here's the thing, when we have free markets, we get our voice, our power back. You know what else we get back? The quality we get back. And we have to be very intentional about that. The Federal Reserve, I think, needs a Senate Oversight Committee. I think there needs to be some accountability. I think the only job of the Federal Reserve should be to stabilize the value of a dollar. That's your only job. And I think, honestly, we need to look at going back to a gold-backed currency. Now, why do I say that? Because right now, the government controls the value of every dollar you have, and it's doing a lousy job. It's doing a terrible job. 1 in 8 Iowa retirees had to go back to work. That's not acceptable. The last thing I would say, we need to stay the course with President Trump. Okay? He's given us, I think it is a miracle. I think it's a God thing that we got this man in, and he's as best he can, he's trying to right the ship. But here's what I want to ask you. Who's going to preserve his legacy when he's gone? Who's going to do that? Senators, congressmen, right? Well, here's the thing. I don't think it's going to be somebody who voted to keep Liz Cheney in leadership after she voted to impeach President Trump. And I don't think it's somebody who caucused for Nikki Haley. I think you can trust me, and I know you can trust me, to preserve his legacy. Because here's the real deal. We do have to become a nation of wealth again by repatriating manufacturing, by defending our borders, by staying out of never-ending wars, the pieces he gave us. Our children's future is in our hands. And one of the thoughts that I think a lot about, and they say this, reality is the door that you open when you want to find solutions. I want us to start thinking about the solutions to the realities our children will be confronted with and address them now. That's the American thing to do. You can reach us at Carlin for U.S. Senate. We would love to have your support. We're not in the establishment club, so to speak. We're an outsider. We're an underdog. It is a David and Goliath deal. But this David will show up for the battle, and I will fight for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. All right, I need to check my list, make sure. All right, I think next we'll ask Adam Steen if he would come forward, and please welcome Adam.
Thank you all. I'm Adam Steen, and I'm running for governor to preserve and protect the culture of this state and preserve and protect the freedom of this state. In 2002, I was drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies as a pitcher, and I thought that was going to be my entire life. I thought that's what I was going to do the rest of my life. I was going to be a baseball player. And what I found out was Division II baseball versus professional baseball are two completely different levels. You can't hang sliders, and you got to throw 95 consistently, and I didn't do either of those well. So I was sent home after 2 minor league seasons, and I had to figure out who I was. I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. My entire upbringing was sports. My entire upbringing was athletics. It's all I focused on. It's all I cared about. It's what my identity was. And I took that sort of athlete mentality, that athlete aggression into the business community. I got very, very good in investment banking. I was trained underneath my father. I traveled around this state working with small businesses of all shapes, sizes, and industries. And at 30 years old, I got home. I had a house. I had stuff. I was single, and I was absolutely miserable. I was alone. I was lonely, and I was miserable. And I had what I called a Jesus-sized hole in my heart. And so at 30 years old, rather than trying to double down on myself, I gave up and I said, Lord, I am done. I hit my knees, I put my hands up to the sky, and I said, I want to do what you want me to do from here on out. And I recommitted my life to Christ in that moment. And thank you. I was a puddle of tears. But when I stood up, I was a brand new man. And because I was a brand new man, I had a brand new focus. And because I was an athlete, my focus got very intentional with how I was going to live my life. And so I started to see just amazing miracles happen around me, just stuff you'd read about in books and movies. And what happened was I said, Lord, why me? Why are we doing this? And this is 15 years ago. I was 30 years old. And he said, I want you to get to the highest possible position that you can get to speak about me so that people will listen to you. And so 15 years ago, I took that very, very seriously. And so I started studying the history of the country. I began teaching American Heritage Series classes, David Barton classes through our church and through our community. I started studying my worldview and started teaching Truth Project classes, Del Tackett information all across my community. And then I started studying my faith. And through that, I went to Iowa School of Ministry classes and became a pastor in the Assemblies of God network. And then I started praying for the woman that I was supposed to marry. And not long after that, I walked into a Panera Bread in West Des Moines, and there was the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And I would say that even though she's not here tonight. So if you're filming this, make sure she gets that clip. And I also say that she couldn't keep her eyes off me, so I knew that we were going to be the ones. So after that meeting, 8 months later, we were married, and it's been an amazing journey. We've got 2 boys, Riker and Maverick. Riker's 10, Maverick is 8. We're a family of faith. We're a family of hope, and I'll tell you why. Is because my 10-year-old, when he was born at 4 months old, I was holding him in the delivery room, and I thought, okay, here's my baseball player. I played ball, my dad played ball, my grandpa, my great-grandpa, and I said, here's my next baseball player in the family. And at 4 months old, he was diagnosed with a rare genetic disorder called Joubert syndrome, Joubert. And the doctor said he'll likely never walk and never talk. And so when you hear that, it can crush you. It will change your life in a moment. And rather than let that crush us, we looked to the Lord and said, okay, what do we do? And then we looked at the doctors and we said, okay, what are we going to do? And so we started planning and preparing for Riker to walk and talk. We took him to therapy clinics. We prayed. We had prayer groups all around us. And lo and behold, at a little over 2 years old, Riker took 12 steps. And we knew at that moment that he was going to be able to walk. And then he started walking more and walking more. And then he started talking, and we could understand him. And in first grade, he's now going, so he's in fourth grade now, but in first grade, he was attending elementary school. And he got his water bottle, and he came home, and he said, "Dad, God told me to preach." So this last summer, because we plan and prepare, we just knew there would be a moment. And this last summer, he gave a 5-minute sermon in front of 500 people at Reach Church in Des Moines, Iowa. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Thank you. Watching my son, watching his attitude, watching his heart epitomizes the heart of Iowa. It epitomizes the heart of America. And watching his story and seeing his story and going through what we've gone through with him and seeing what we can do as a state right now, America is under attack. Right now, Iowa is under attack. The Democrats, the liberals, they smell blood in the water, and they want to take this state and they want to decimate this state. There is no chance that's going to happen under my watch. Absolutely no chance. Rob Sand wants to come in and flip this state from red to blue and take all the freedoms and all the conservative values, all the faith values, and decimate them. Look at the No Kings protests the other day. I was down there in the Capitol, I'll explain this here in a second, last year when the No Kings protesters showed up, and I stood in the middle of those vile, visceral people that were swearing and yelling and cheering against our president, cheering against our Lord, and I was the guy that directed the state patrol to usher them out and had 3 of them arrested. I will not stand for that, and we are blessed to have a president in President Trump that's willing to stand for America and not back down to those people. We're also blessed to have a Lord that's going to provide healing in this nation, provided we allow it. I spent 18 years traveling this state as a business owner. I worked with businesses of all shapes and sizes. I built my own company called the Turkey Fan. I tried to manufacture it here in the U.S. and ultimately had to manufacture it in China because I couldn't find a manufacturer to take on the product, and I never forgot about that. And I built the business, ultimately reached national distribution across the country, sold that business, and it was because I was so good in the business community that the governor's office recruited me to come into her cabinet and run the operations of the entire state. So after 18 years in the private sector as a businessman, I came in, and for the last 5 years, I've been running the operations of this state, running HR, running procurement, running the accounting, all the accounting for all of the agencies within the state. There's 16 of them. I ran the efficiency project that went from 37 agencies down to 16. I'm the guy that sold 2,000 acres of state farm ground to local farmers and was able to work around the Commerce Clause because we figured out ways through existing programs that we could score the purchases. So I was able to keep farmland out of China's hands, out of Bill Gates' hands. We're going to do it here in Anamosa as well here in probably a couple months because we're going through more of that sales right now. And so at the end of the day, you need a governor that can do 3 things. The governor's the CEO of the state. So you need a governor that can do one thing very well, and that is to operate the state. You need a governor that can, day one, walk in that door and run this state efficiently and effectively. And I joke, but I'm serious. All I got to do is get my badge back. I'll badge into that door, and I can operate on day one, instantly. The second thing your CEO, your governor, has to do is be a champion of culture. We're Iowans. We get up early, we go to bed late, we get dirty, we fix things, they break, we fix them again. We've got grit, we're tough, we're strong. That's who we are as Iowans, and you need a governor that's willing to say that and willing to get up and say there is good in this world and there is evil in this world. This is a spiritual battle that we're in right now. And we have to have a governor that's willing to get up and say that. Not a governor like Rob Sand that's going to get up and say there might be more than 2 genders, I don't know. That's insanity. Makes me sick to my stomach to even think about a governor that doesn't understand that there are 2 genders. We cannot have that because he will bring DEI back into the Capitol, he'll bring it back into our agencies, and I'm not going to let that happen. So you have to have a governor willing to challenge and step up. You have to have a governor that's going to champion skilled trades. You have to have a governor that's going to champion families back to the dinner table. Get the kids off screens, get kids to the table, get to know our kids again. And you have to have a governor that's willing to challenge the local church. The local church has to rise up and do what the local church is supposed to do. The local church needs to take care of the community. We have abdicated our responsibility. Government has come in and it's infiltrated our lives with evil, and we got to get it out of there, and that has to come from us, the church, and the Lord. Through and through. The last thing the governor has to do, they've got to operate, they've got to be a champion of culture, and the last thing they have to do is understand policy. When I was appointed to my position, the Democrats rose up against me. They said, this is an outsider, no one knows him, which is exactly right. But then I operated for 4 years, and guess what? When I was reappointed, I was confirmed 50-0 by the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, because I knew I was very, very good at my job. Now, when I announced my run for governor, they're like, oh, this guy's an outsider, he's a hack. But no. You knew I was good at my job, and you know I'm a threat to your little candidate, Rob Sands. So here we go. But you have to have a governor that understands policy, how to understand how to work with the legislature. I will protect your property rights. I will protect life. I will work on property tax reform through and through. You will not meet a more conservative candidate than me. I'm pro-business. I'm get government out of the way. I will fight for you the same way I fight for my family. God bless you. Thank you, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Adam. Brad, where are you hiding, Brad? There's Brad. Brad Sherman. Please welcome Brad.
Thank you, Mike. Well, it's good to be in Jones County. You know, my name's Brad Sherman. I'm also running for governor, and I'm running to be the next governor of this state. I jumped in this race for governor early on, before anybody else did. Actually, I was the only guy that jumped in this race before Governor Reynolds said that she wasn't running. And so when she said that she wasn't running, it made me look like I knew what I was talking about. So I've been married to my wife, Carol. Here's Carol sitting right back here. I've been married to Carol for 50 years. We met each other on August 15th, 1974. And the same night I surrendered my life to Jesus Christ. And we've been walking together with our Lord ever since then. I've been a pastor for 44 years in Iowa City area. And, we've got 4 children, 13 grandchildren. My 2 sons are both in the military. My oldest son is a Iraq combat veteran. My youngest son is a captain in the Air Force. We got 2 wonderful daughters. And one of our daughters passed away in 2023. That's why I didn't run for State House. I was in the State House as a representative, and I gave up that seat because we wanted to be close to our grandkids after our daughter passed away. But through that whole process, we ended up not moving, and we felt like we weren't finished yet. And so I started praying about it, and that's when God spoke to our hearts and said, and confirmed it so many ways. I've never been more sure about any direction we've ever taken than I am about this, that we're supposed to run for governor. And so that's a little bit about how we got here. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience. I've got a broad range of experience. I grew up, my dad had an excavating company, so I grew up driving dozers and drag lines and overhauling the engines and fixing them when they broke. And I know what that dirt is, the kind that doesn't wash off in the evening and you can't scrape it out from under your fingernails. That's the kind of dirt we grew up in. But I grew up doing that, and we lived in an area that had a lot of wetland, and we dug a lot of ditches to drain farmland, or drain wetland so it could become farmland. And so I always want to make the point when I tell you that I literally have swamp draining experience. So it's a very important thing to have. And so, of course, that's a little bit of a joke. But folks, one thing I learned about swamp draining is if you don't keep the ditches open, they will stop up and the swamp will reestablish itself. And the same thing is true about politics, folks. The swamp is always there, ready to reestablish itself, and we've got some swamp. So nevertheless, swamp draining is an important thing. I've been pastoring for 44 years in the Iowa City area. When we moved to the Iowa City area, we saw Marxism, socialism, indoctrination hitting our students. That's what really launched me into being politically involved. I've been involved in political party ever since way back then, all the way from Pat Robertson to Donald Trump, and helped with presidential campaigns. Mike Huckabee became a good friend. I helped him in both of his campaigns. I saw what was happening in our country. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that when you have those kind of teachers teaching kids, when you see kids come into the University of Iowa and suddenly They believe in God, and then they leave. They don't believe in God. When you see them come in loving America and they leave, they hate America. Folks, it doesn't take a genius to figure out we've got a trouble. We've got a problem. That's what launched me into doing seminars all across the Midwest, teaching foundational principles. And if you look at the slogan on our card, it's on the table there, it says, restoring the foundations of freedom. Folks, that is my heartbeat. And that's not just a slogan we came up with. That's something I've been doing for 4 decades, trying to teach people how to preserve our freedoms. Because, folks, if we don't know where our freedoms came from, we will lose our freedoms. They'll be gone, and we won't even know it because we didn't know where they came from. George Mason, the father of the Bill of Rights, said if free people don't examine their liberties and how they were obtained, they risk losing these rights. So we have to put these things back into our educational system. There's a lot more of experience I could go into, but time is short. So let me just get into the Declaration of Independence says, as it's already been mentioned, rights come from God, not government. The purpose of government is to protect those rights. And among those rights are life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. So protecting life, protecting liberty, and protecting property are absolutely important. They must be protected. We're not going to allow eminent domain for private gain. We're simply not going to allow that. We're going to cut property taxes. We've got to get rid of this property tax problem, and that's going to come through. There's several avenues to that, and I got some ideas, but we don't have time to get into it here tonight. Liberty, we got to end human trafficking in Iowa. We're third in the nation per capita in human trafficking. That's got to be rooted out of this state, and for good, it's got to be gone. Human trafficking can't be exist. We can't put up with that. And so liberty is a big deal. COVID, when COVID hit this state, folks, our liberties were trampled on. Under my watch as governor, that's not going to happen. We're not going to shut down the state ever again. Now, I'm not too critical because we didn't know what was happening during COVID. It was tough. There was a lot of fear being propagated, but it didn't take long to figure it out. And I'm telling you one thing, we're just not going to allow that to happen again. When you make a mistake, it's good to hear somebody say, we made a mistake and we're not going to let that happen again, instead of just gaslight everybody and say, oh, we kept Iowa open. Because, folks, we did not keep Iowa open. It hurt our state, the economy of our state, and we're not going to let that happen again. And then there's life, all the way from conception to the end of life. We have to honor life because people are created in God's image. And so there's a lot that could be filled in there, but I don't have time. I want to say one quick thing about education, but before I give you my 4 quick promises. Education, Thomas Jefferson said, how am I doing on time there? He stood up. Well, Thomas Jefferson, let me just give you my 4 quick promises instead of the Jefferson quote. First off, if I make a mistake, I'm going to admit it. You have to do that. Getting elected doesn't make you infallible, folks. So much of what we hear in politics sounds like a pep rally at a high school. And folks, we need to acknowledge the things that need to be fixed and do it. The second promise is that I absolutely promise I will not please everyone. I usually pause for the chuckle because everybody knows that. But the point is this. The point is when you have to know your core principles going in. You're not going to compromise. Because if you don't know those things going in, you're probably going to try to please somebody and you're going to compromise. Third principle is I won't be bought. Government is not for sale. It's just not going to happen. And the fourth promise is I'm going to seek Almighty God with all my heart, through prayer and wise counselors, because this is a team effort. This is not a one-man show. You got to have a good team around you. This is not a one-man show. So I'm going to seek God through prayer and wise counselors to make the right decisions, because a lot of these decisions are not clear. They're not black and white. From out here, it might look like it sometimes, but when you get in there, it's not. I want to close with this last quote. George Orwell said, "In a world filled with lies and deceit, speaking the truth is a revolutionary act." And folks, I want to help raise up an army of truth tellers in this state who are going to be revolutionaries, who will tell the truth, who won't be afraid to tell the truth, who will say it out loud, say things like CO2 is not hurting our atmosphere, say things like there's only 2 genders. Those are the kind of things we have to say. And when it comes to Rob Sand, here's my final thought on Rob Sand. Rob Sand, the Democrats have their head in the sand, right? But Republicans know that we can't build our house on the sand. Come November, we're going to pound sand. All right.
Thank you, Brad. All right, next we have our final governor candidate, Eddie Andrews. So please help me welcome Eddie to the podium.
Thank you. What's up, Jones County? How you guys doing? I am so excited to be here. I've been here, 2 or 3 times. my clerk actually spoke here for the Republican women, not here, but another place for the Republican women. She started something called, yeah, there you go, Julie. She started something called Latinos Republicanos. Yeah, that just means Republican Latinos, right? And so, let me tell you a little story. So, I ran into Senator Grassley, and I'm combining two different stories, so just bear with me if you've heard this before. He said, Eddie, I think you're doing this full Grassley faster than anybody else I've ever seen. All 99 counties. And I said, about that, Senator, I love you, you know, that whole Grassley thing, but I'm not a Grassley. And, you know, can we do something different? He said, and without missing a beat, he says, Eddie, you're doing it so fast, why don't you just do it twice and call it a Fast Eddie? Okay, so I'm on my Fast Eddie right now, according to Senator Grassley. So let me tell you a little bit about Eddie Andrews, who I am, what makes me tick, a little bit about my vision, what I've already done, what I plan to do, and why I think of these great candidates, and we do have a great bench, thank you very much, why I think I'm the best guy to run this state. So, who is Eddie Andrews? So, I was born on the east side of Des Moines. Boy, I certainly wanted to throw a joke in there if anybody knows the jerk. I was born on the east side. No, never mind. Okay, so I was born in Polk County. I met this lovely lady, meaning we were kids. We were arguing in Sunday school. I don't know why we were arguing in Sunday school about Joshua and the Battle of Jericho, but this young lady would not shut up, and I would not shut up, and somehow the teacher allowed that. She was amused by this, and so after class I said, what is your problem? Okay, you know where this is going, because about 16 or 17, we were like best friends, and I thought, she's kind of cute. And about 18, I said, sister, I'm locking you down. I'm putting a ring on it. And we were married I was 19, and we've been married ever since. We've got two lovely daughters. One just got married a little while ago. The other just got married just before that. So if you're keeping score, that's 2 campaigns and 2 weddings. And my hair's not completely white, but I'm telling you. We also raised my niece in our home. We raised a boy. We adopted a boy. And ironically, that's why I'm in politics. He came with some mental health challenges, and I got to see how horrible our mental health system is. I saw the holes in it, and I said, we lost him 6 years ago, and I got involved in politics. I said, who designed this crazy system? And at some point, I'm a doer. I am a talker, but I'm also more of a doer. And I said, if nobody else is going to fix this, I'll just fix this myself. Let me just run for office and see what I can do on the inside. By the way, we've passed 22 different bills so far on mental health, but we have a long way to go. I'm also a minister. We've got 3 ministers running that you heard tonight. Apparently, it's a prerequisite now. I'm a bilingual minister. I've co-pastored a Hispanic congregation. If there's anybody who's ever been to a Spanish-speaking Pentecostal church, this is for you. Quien vive? Okay, apparently nobody. That would be 0. It's not right response. Okay, but obviously a person of faith, I'm a doer. Like I said, sometimes people get involved in politics to be something. Sometimes people get involved in politics to do something. And I have 0 interest in the former. I'm all about doing, defending, protecting, and leading. Okay, that's a little bit about me. I'm also a businessman because church planting does not pay the bills. By the way, definition of church planting is you set up everything, you set up the minister, the music, you set up everything, and then as soon as you can afford a minister, you leave. That's church planting. Does not pay the bills. What pays the bills is I've worked for pretty much all the companies that you know here in Iowa, Casey's, John Deere, Ag Leader, Corteva, Pioneer, all those, Ameritrade, DirecTV Now, all those kinds of things. And they actually are crazy enough to pay me to tell them how to run their businesses, to write code for them, and give them strategy on how to better help their customers. I got to tell you, that's a little bit of that customer service is what we need in our government. Listening to people and telling and leading them in the way that our state should be led. Okay, what have I done politically? Now, by the way, I should tell you that I've never run a race in which I was supposed to win. My first race, I just think of AOC. Oh, I certainly want to say something, but the news might be here. I'll just say, but a lot more bitter. Okay, that's a very nice way of saying it. And I said, you know, I'm going to run this race. We were outspent 6-1. We had no money. We had no name recognition. Got to tell you, that's not a winning formula normally. But we had passion and vision and a way to reach every single person. By the time we got done, we had Democrats voting for us. I said, guys, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-God, I'm pro-Second Amendment, I'm pro-school choice, I'm pro-only girls in girls sports, I'm pro-voter integrity, I'm pro-education from homeschool, from all those things. But I still need you to vote for me because I have a better vision than you do. And what we would do is very Charlie Kirk-esque. We would show up at the farmer's market, give free cookies out, free lemonade out, and say, come stump Eddie. And if you can't stump Eddie, I humbly ask for your vote. And I got to tell you, we changed hearts. That's one of the questions that the White House actually asked. Eddie, how does that even look? You're in a Susan Collins district, and you get all the, and you vote like this. How does that even work? And my response was, we change hearts. Last thing I want to say is my vision, and I'll be very quick because I see the gentleman standing up over there. I'm just going to act like I didn't see him, but I'll be very quick. 4 things I quickly want to do. Get education back to number 1. When I was a kid, all of us enjoyed education in Iowa as number 1. We weren't near the top, we led the nation. But we had abandoned the Iowa model and adopted the national models that just suck. Number 2, eminent domain abuse has to go. We've already heard that. We all agree on that here. Absolutely no eminent domain for private gain. Full stop. Number 3, property tax reform has been something that I've led on for a long time. Number 4, our mental health care system obviously is a passion of mine. And number 5, voter integrity must be restored fully in Iowa. It's not here. Fully. And thank you so very much. You can reach me at eddieandrews.com. I humbly ask for your vote. As the only candidate who's going to win Polk County, I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. All right, bear with us. We're doing okay. We got a little bit ways to go yet, but we're doing okay. Congressman Hinson was unable to be here tonight, but she did send a note, and I'm going to read through that, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be less than 8 minutes. So, all right, here we go. Hello, Jones County GOP. I wish I could be with you this evening. I will be out on the trail this weekend, continuing to pound the pavement here at home. Just last month, I launched my campaign for the United States Senate, and we are off to a rocking start. We've secured endorsements from America First leaders across the state and the country. I am honored to have President Trump's endorsement as we fight to keep Iowa red up and down the ballot this cycle. The energy we are seeing is amazing. People across Iowa are fired up, not just about winning an election, but about securing a future we can be proud of. My priorities are Iowans' priorities. Keep men out of girls' sports. Cut taxes for working families. Stop China from buying up our farmland and defend our farmers. Support our veterans with health care they've earned. And help young Iowans buy a home and start a family. These are common sense Iowa values, but Washington is broken. Chuck Schumer is playing political games with the shutdown, demanding $1.5 trillion in new spending and taxpayer-funded health care for illegal aliens. That's not a negotiation. That's a ransom note from the radical left. I will never stand by while the left taxes us into the ground, tramples parents' rights, and puts illegal aliens before our own people. Democrats are doing that right here in Iowa, where they hired a criminal illegal alien to run the largest public school in the state. This is a colossal failure by my opponent, Jackie Norris. My other opponent, Zach Walls, defended this con man. Enough is enough. We haven't come this far to only go this far. I'm going to continue to fight for you just as I have for the last 5 years in the House. In the Senate, I would be honored to earn your vote. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the great state of Iowa. Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. All right, thank you. Next on my list is David Pautsch. So David, if you want to come forward, and we'll welcome David.
Thank you. It's my objective to quit speaking before he comes up here. That makes me electable. Well, let me tell you a little bit about myself, since that seems to be the theme of the evening here. I was born at a very young age, so I could be close to my mother, and wound up doing most of my growing up years in northwest Iowa, the home of one of our former governors, Governor Harold Hughes. He played tuba in the Ida Grove High School band, and so did I. Path to greatness, clearly. But I defended the country with my tuba. I was part of one of the most lethal fighting groups in the Army, the Continental Army Band. I blew them away. So I know it strikes fear in your heart, but I do know my major and minor scales and all that other trivia. But my father was a pastor. I'm not a pastor, but I do a thing called the Quad Cities Prayer Breakfast every year, mainly to help people connect to the Lord. It's my way of letting people know there's something bigger than themselves that can get them through life and to the life to come. Now, I'm the father of 6 children. 2 of them are in heaven, 15 grandchildren. Both of my boys, my older boys, they joined the Army following their father's valiant example. They both were the 4th Infantry Division. My oldest son was over in Afghanistan, and he came back kind of wounded mentally. My other son, Jason, wound up in Iraq, and he never came home. He was killed at the age of 20 up in Mosul, northern Iraq. And there's a guy that's trying to blow up this mess hall with 800 guys in it, and his convoy intercepted this guy, triggered the dead man's switch, blew a 60-foot hole in the ground. It snapped the brain stems of all the guys in his armored vehicle. But it did save these 800 lives that they were trying to go after. Well, that actually forms one of the reasons why I'm running for Congress, because I have a bit of a vested interest in our country. I'm committed to our country, no matter what it takes, because I believe in the foundations of our country, Brad. I believe in the things that this was a covenant that God established with this country. It was His idea to form America, not our idea to somehow include Him in as a sort of an afterthought. And so I'm running. In fact, I wouldn't be running if there were a constitutional, conservative Christian candidate that was seated in this district right now. But that's why I'm running. And at 71 years of age, this is not what I need to be doing. I can find all kinds of things to be doing, but no one's pinned any hero badges on my chest because I am running. But I am running because I want to make certain that someone does something. Now, there's a guy named Edmund Burke. He was a statesman over in England in the late 1700s. He said, no man has made a greater mistake than he who did nothing because he could only do a little. Well, running in Congress, being a member of Congress is a very visible thing, But in reality, it's really not a whole lot more important than what you have done with your children and your grandchildren. I say bloom where you're planted. Well, this is something I can do. I've got plenty of hot air, and I intend to use my voice to get the job done. The thing that I have a problem with most of our senators and congressmen is that they're quiet as church mites on all the big issues. I mean, the reason we have this invasion of 20 million people across the border is not because we needed better immigration laws, as they all said. We just needed someone to pair to say no. And so we got a president who put the kibosh in this thing. But none of these people said anything about getting this thing stopped. And here's what we need to do. We've got the power of the purse. We can shut this thing down. We need to arrest Joe Biden. They didn't say a thing like mild, mild, mild. And I don't plan on being antagonistic just for the sake of causing trouble. But sometimes you just have to raise your voice and get the flag out and start waving and say, hey, listen, this is what can be done. Now, in terms of the things that I'm seeing that have happened, we had a whole congressional contingent who decided that gay marriage was a good thing, with the exception of one. And we had a whole group of them who thought that somehow it was just a great thing, a wonderful idea to give the government permission for spying on us. And so they passed the FISA bill. And you know, there's never been a bill that they've signed. They have this whole litany of these CR bills, the continuing resolutions that they have passed, full of junk and garbage. And my opponent says, I don't care what's in that bill, just as long as there's funding for the military. Well, I'm all for funding the military, but you don't do it at the cost of getting all sorts of just pure, unadulterated slop in there. And then now we're finding out all the stuff that's in there that they were pulling out of there left and right with not only the waste, fraud, and abuse, but you name it. So, you know, I better check my notes here, make sure not the predators don't come for me. But anyway, you know, there are just a lot of things that are just not right. You know, we've got all sorts of issues that are at stake for our children and our grandchildren, and things that are of great concern to make certain that we actually have a country left at the end of the day. So, too short a time to go into all these things, but when you get me in Congress, you're going to get someone who's trustworthy, not someone who's going to be talking out of both sides of their mouth, saying one thing one year and the next thing the next year, or somehow saying one thing one month and the other thing the next month. I believe in principles. So the guy that you see standing before you campaigning is the same guy you're going to get if I'm elected to Congress, and here he comes. But what I'm going to provide for you is I'm going to fight for your money. I'm going to work with Trump to get rid of the income tax. I'm going to make certain that somehow the Federal Reserve is brought into control. Can you believe we're paying almost $1 trillion in interest on our federal debt, that somehow it's gone on that long when we as a country can actually manufacture money? What is our country? Why did they ever get into the business of borrowing money when they can manufacture money? It's the most insane thing I've ever heard. It's been perpetuated for 112 years. But so we just need to get some of these basic things under control. Just put the Federal Reserve out of business and get on with it. And so I will be fighting for your children, your grandchildren, protect them from the sex predators, from all the drug dealers, whatever it takes to keep them safe. And I'm so sorry that we have put them in this situation where they can't even trust anyone. But someone needs to fight for them. So here I am. I'm in a situation where the state, this district of Iowa, has not had a conservative Christian constitutional candidate for almost 85 years. It is time. What would it be like if you actually had someone who was passionate about these issues, trying to see to it that our country is run in a godly, principled manner, with conservative principles, with a constitutional perspective? What would that be like for a change, where you could actually trust your congressperson to fight for the things that you know are true and God-given for America? So thank you for giving me a runaway landslide victory.
Thank you, David. Is it still working okay? All right. I don't hear so well, so sometimes it's hard for me to tell. All right, next we'll have Congresswoman Mariannette Meeks. There she is. Please welcome her up.
My legs are short, so eventually I'll get up. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you all. It's great to be here with you. And I promise that I will be under 8 minutes because I'm trustworthy and I keep my word. So, Michael, you won't be standing up by the time I sit down. It is great to be with you all here tonight. Let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I am pro-life, pro-God, pro-Second Amendment, pro-school choice. I am against the Chinese Communist Party buying up land. I am against boys participating in girls' sports. I am against gender mutilating surgery, and I'm on the bills to prove it. Now, it's interesting. I will have to say that, Eddie, I am not a minister. And as long as I've known some people in this room, Stephen Bradley, Carrie Kelker, last year we had Chris Cournoyer here with us. So we had this powerful trio de fuego. But I also had the pleasure of serving with Randy Feenstra, both as a state senator and in Congress, and I never heard this Pizza Ranch romance. You know, it sounds kind of scandalous, you know? I don't know. And then I heard Adam Steen, and I never heard about a, Panera pirouette. So I'm going, you got all these romances happening at restaurants. So my romance did not happen at a restaurant. In my house, I have a placard, and it says, "You preach a better sermon with your life than your lips." I've been married to the same man for 42 years. I have 2 wonderful grown adult children who are financially independent, have jobs, are Republican, and have no criminal records. I served both in the state senate and then as your congresswoman after redistricting. And it's been a real honor and a real pleasure to do that. I'm on the Veterans Committee and I'm on Energy and Commerce Committee. But let me tell you the biggest thing that we have going on right now. Has anybody noticed we're in a government shutdown? It's Schumer's shutdown. And why did they shut down the government? Now, I've voted and been criticized, and rightly so, because we're $37 trillion in debt. And we want to be able to control where spending goes and prioritize where spending goes. But what they wanted in order to pass a continuing resolution for 7 weeks, even though they have voted for the same thing 13 times under Biden, and I voted for it because I think you keep funding your troops. I had an enlisted father, Air Force. I watched him sitting at the kitchen table. I watched him try to figure out, could he write a check, pay the bill, would the bill get to the person it was owed, and would they put it in the bank before his check came from the military, or would it bounce? I watched that growing up. Now, when you watch your parents struggle and have part-time jobs, and your mom is working, and then you go to the pizza parlor with your dad to help him, that really is something that becomes in your soul. And you don't want to see another enlisted person serve our country with no pay. It's not right. So we voted to fund our government. We passed our bill. President Trump is helping to support our troops. But what do they want in order to fund the government, which they have done 13 other times? $1.5 trillion in new spending. They want to fund health care for illegal immigrants. They want to undo everything that we democratically obtained in the election. Think about this. They rail against democracy. They talk about democracy. They talk about authoritarianism. They had a No Kings rally. And what was it about? About democracy and the president acting like a king. They're trying to do, and the Democrats always do this, watch whatever they say because they'll tell you what they're doing. They're trying to undo democracy. They're trying to undo the election of last year. We have a mandate. We won the election, but they want to say, we're going to close down the government. We're going to hold you hostage because we don't want to see the democratic process come through. That's authoritarianism. That's fascism. And we are not going to let them do that. So, but it's going to take all of us because they're motivated. They're motivated. They're mad. They're spending money like crazy. They've already spent $3 million attacking me. I'm hoping they run out of money soon. But we're here. We're working hard. We're going to visit you. We're going to keep raising money. We're going to keep speaking out. We're going to fix a broken healthcare system that they broke. Anybody ever hear of Obamacare, AKA the Unaffordable Care Act? It is the crisis of their making, but it's going to take us to fix it. And for us to fix it, we need your votes in June. We need your votes in November. We need to make sure we keep this district red, and I'm going to work right alongside you to do that. God bless you. God bless Iowa. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Congresswoman Meeks. All right, we got 2 to go, just 2. Next on our list is one of our candidates for state auditor, Abigal Maas. Please welcome her forward.
I had to bring my phone up, not for notes, but I am very competitive, so I also will not need a stand-up signal, but I'm going to try to beat Mariannette here tonight. My name's Abby Maas. I am running for state auditor. First and foremost, I'm a wife to my husband, Jared. We're raising our 2 kids, Derek and Cora, on our 6th-generation family farm just right outside of here in Iowa County. I own 2 businesses. I'm a county supervisor in my 2nd term. I'm the vice chair there. I'm also certified through our state, which means I get the pleasure of mentoring county supervisors and other elected officials across our state. It's been a really fun thing, but I've learned a lot through that process. I also help write property tax legislation through our Senate Ways and Means chair, Dan Dawson. That's been a real privilege as well, and I've learned a lot from that process. That's enough about me. Let me tell you guys what I'm gonna do for you. Who in this room is concerned about property taxes? Anyone? Yeah, right? That's why I'm running for state auditors. Currently in our state, our property taxes are outpacing our income taxes by over $1 billion. I think that's a problem. Did you know that not every entity that is levying taxes in our state not every entity is audited? We have 1,600 townships across our state that levy $46 million statewide. And guess what? They're not audited. As a business owner, if I didn't go back and look at my books, I'd call that throwing money in the wind. And I think that's what we're doing with the taxpayers there. Secondly, cities less than 2,000 in population. It's super variable how often they require to be audited. Some of them are 1 out of every 8 years. Did you know that 82% of our towns in the state of Iowa are those cities less than 2,000 in population? Did you know that they are levying $171 million collectively in our state? And we're coming maybe every 8 years to look at them. When the city clerk, maybe there's been 2 or 3 in there since we started the last time. That's a really big issue, you guys. I think the transparency and the issue that we have with the property tax system is we don't know where the dollars are going, and we're not coming back to make sure that they're going where they're supposed to go. So 2 things I want to change is requiring everyone to be audited, and then we're going to audit them every year. I understand that's going to be a huge feat. Good thing I'm a workaholic and I can take this on. But I have a plan. Statewide software system. So mentoring other counties, I have learned firsthand that none of our software speaks the same language, even if you're on the same company as another county. And so what I want to do is level the playing field, eliminate the variables when it comes to reporting, and then I also want to make a better software for everybody, because right now what we're running on is pretty clunky. That's a good term for it. So I want to make a better system for everybody, and I also want to decrease the amount of man hours that it takes to perform an audit by using simple notification settings. As 2025, we do this in the business world. Can an alarm go off or notification be sent out when something goes $5 short instead of catching it 2, maybe 8 years later at this point, and it's $500,000 short? It's pretty basic, simple business practice that we need to bring into the state auditor's office. Last thing with the statewide software system, I want to increase transparency. Like I said, I don't think a lot of us understand where our tax dollars are actually going when you write the check to your county treasurer. I want you to be able to see this system, turn it public facing, line item by line item, exactly where every one of your dollars is going and what that entity has spent your money on. I think that's the best way to root out the fraud, waste, and abuse. Number one, I think it's going to naturally curb some of this appeal to waste your dollars. Number two, I think we're going to start to see that and get involved in our local elections, start getting the bad actors out of office. Because really, it's not the nuts and bolts of county, city, school government that's costing us that much money. Where we need to start cutting is the gray areas. And by that, I mean things that are not explicitly illegal, but not the best use of taxpayer dollars. Prime example. On my 99 county tour, I was approached by another county supervisor who asked me, how do I stop massages being given on county time to the employees on county dollars? It took me a second to make sure he was really serious. He was serious. It's not even this county, I'll tell you that much. It's not even Johnson County, you guys. This is what shocked me. So here's the deal. That's the kind of stuff we need to cut. And as somebody that helps write property tax legislation, I understand some of this rate capping really isn't hitting the bad actors. They're still not cutting those silly expenses. And so this is where I want this data to become live, to become available for everyone to see, and we can start to get a better product for everyone on reducing taxes without cutting the essential things like our libraries, fire, EMS. Long story short, if you can't tell, I'm super passionate about the office, and I really don't want the political title. I'm here, I want to have a job, I want to get to work on day one. I'll have my hands full because Rob Sand's been touring the state running for governor and eating Casey's breakfast pizza, and so I'm going to have to instill a work ethic back in that office, and you've got the right gal for it. I kindly ask for your vote in the June 2nd primary, and let's make auditing great again.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby. All right. The last speaker is Candy Bradley, and she's speaking for Chris Cournoyer. And she asked me when she would be on the program. I told her it'd probably be about an hour, and I'm really close. I'll turn it over to Candy on. There you go.
Thanks, Mike. Chris regrets she can't come here tonight. She's at another event that was scheduled way before this. I want to tell you about my friend, Chris Cournoyer. Chris is running for state auditor to get the seat back into Republican hands and get the politics out of the office. For 6 years, the auditor has used it to fuel his own political ambition instead of doing the job, which is looking out for the taxpayer. Chris's office is right next to Rob Sands. She has not seen him since she's become lieutenant governor. She is looking out for the taxpayer, ensuring that every dollar that you earn is spent wisely, and finances are managed according to an accepted accounting principles. She will use her background in local, state, and now the executive branch to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. As lieutenant governor, the 48th lieutenant governor, and former state senator and school board member, Chris ran for school board because when she called one of her school board members, they never called her back. So Chris, if you know Chris, she's very tenacious. She says, I'm going to run for school board. And she won. From leading a $200 million government realignment to passing historic tax cuts 6 years in a row, Chris has always fought and delivered for Iowa families. With over 27 years of experience in the private tech sector, and a record of leadership, Chris is now running for state auditor to bring transparency, accountability, and innovation to every level of Iowa government. Chris believes in an auditor's office that serves all Iowans. That means focusing on the facts, eliminating inefficiencies, and delivering real results in a timely manner. Chris resides in LeClaire in Scott County and is a proud mother of 4 children. You can also learn more about her. She has a handout in the back. Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. All right. Thank you, everybody, for a pretty aggressive program, I guess. We had a number of speakers, obviously, and I think they all did a great job. And let's give our speakers another round of applause. All right, have some important things to do to wrap this up, and we're going to be done shortly. We have a few door prizes, and Sherry's going to grab some of them.
And the bucket. You gotta have your bucket.
All right.
All right. You do what you want to do. Shall we do a t-shirt first?
Sure, we'll do a t-shirt first. I'll dig. Anybody trust me? Stacy Sullivan.
You want to do hello? This was donated by the Women's Republicans. Beautiful pillow. Did you draw again?
Alice Shamanik.
How about one of the Turning Point's tumblers? Charlie Kirk. Ro Mars.
All right, we'll go with Ray. Mace? He's back there. All right. All right, we're doing a shawl for Dwayne Went to keep him warm.
We'll do our last t-shirt. Same t-shirt.
Roger Kistler. Where's Roger? Just one left, Sherry? We have one more tumbler for...
Oh, here we go again. Marcy Supine.
Supine. There we go. All right, thank you. Thank you, Sherry. And before we close, there's a couple people I should still recognize. Did not ask them to speak, and they did not ask to speak, but they certainly represent us very well. So I would like to introduce Carrie Kalker and Steve Bradley, if they would stand, please. They work hard for us, and we sure appreciate it. All right, with that, thank you, everybody, for coming this evening. It was a little bit to endure, but we got through it, and we very much appreciate your support of our event. And the dollars that we raise go to the candidates that we want to support as well. So we thank you very much, and we are adjourned for the evening. And if you haven't signed petitions, please do so before you leave. But thank you very much.